My name is Charles Antipem. I'm co-founder at DEXT Technology Limited. I've always been very interested in science, and I think the main reason for that was because my dad was a science teacher, and although he didn't have like materials to teach us science and all of that, he did try to find ways and means of using local materials that we can find around us to try to help us do science experiments and get us excited about the things that we're learning in science. And so very early on, I was very interested in education, and particularly in science education. And so I went to KNUST to study mechanical engineering, where I became president of a group called the Creativity Group. And one of the things that we used to do is on vacation, we'd go back to my hometown and would, get some materials and then teach the kids some science, practical science. So the things they were learning in class that they were not getting the practice for, we would go and then try to teach them those things practically. So we'd buy the materials needed and then we'd do the practice with them. And that was essentially where the idea of the science set came from, because we saw that the kids were enjoying it. We saw that it was really interesting for them. And also the teachers also kept coming back to us and asking us, how can we keep these materials? How do we get this in my classroom? And so that was where the idea came from. The very foundation of DEXT Technology and our product, the science set, sits on the idea that we need the tools to train the next generation. To someone who says that this is hard, I would say that you have no idea how hard it is. It's even harder than you think, but it's worth it. At the end of the day, it's one of the most beautiful experiences when you see that something that you've done, something that you've created, something you've worked on, is making a very direct impact. And that is one of the most beautiful feelings you can get. The thought of it being hard shouldn't be the reason why you'd stop pursuing anything that you are passionate about. At the end of the day, I promise that it's going to be worth it. Because I have experienced that the extent to what is possible, we have absolutely no idea. That you could be, in your small corner somewhere with an idea to create something, to make something, and within the next 5-10 years, you could become a global brand that is changing lives, that is, doing amazing stuff. So when we started DEXT Technology and created the science set, we thought we were solving a small problem. We knew it was necessary, but we thought, we are starting this small thing, so it's going to help schools around the country do something. But then, within the space of about 5 years, we have several hundreds of schools, in Ghana. We have schools outside of Ghana, schools in Sierra Leone, in Nigeria, and we have 700 schools in the United Kingdom that are using the products that we are making here in Ghana. And we had no idea that all of those things were possible. And so for me, as individuals, in changing our mindsets, beginning from that point and believing that it is possible beyond our wildest imagination, it is possible. Beautiful things can happen, and so all we need to do is to start. There were a lot of failures, there were a lot of trial and error. Some of them didn't work, some worked, and so in fact the science has changed drastically over the period. One of the things that we've known in this country, in Ghana, for a long time is the concept of chew, pour, pass and forget, right? It's something that a lot of us have spoken about as a big problem. And so right from the university, we thought there has to be a way to solve this problem. And logical way to approach it was, build a lab for every school, right? Find the money and then build a lab for every school. That's very logical. But the bold, new and normal way to go about it was to say, well, what if instead of building the lab, you could take the materials the students need and you could miniaturize it, put it in a box that is small enough that it could be inside their bag, and it's also affordable enough that they could actually buy it and each student could own one. At the time when we thought of it, it sounded very radical, but then we felt that if we're going to solve such an age-old problem, we weren't going to be able to do it logically. We weren't going to be able to do it, the usual way. We had to be bold about it, and we had to think innovatively. We could take the materials that would cost you more than 200,000 Ghana cedis, okay, and would fit into a whole building. We're able to put all of these materials into a box that is the size of a textbook and cost only as much. It took like at least 2 years to actually be able to get this done. But throughout the process, we were testing it, iterating it, and today we have every single experiment in the GES curriculum, the Pearson curriculum, the Cambridge curriculum, the American curriculum, all the materials that they need to do every single experiment. We've redesigned, we've miniaturized, we've made it possible that it's available inside a science set. And so it's been an incredible journey. And throughout the process, all the schools that are using the set, we get amazing feedback. At some point, our favorite sound was aha, because whenever the students do the experiment and then they see it, they've been seeing it on the board and in their books and on screens and things like that. But then when they do the experiment and they actually see the thing happening, it's such a beautiful feeling. And one of the also very interesting things that we're beginning to see, students are getting more interested in science. Because when you engage with the material physically, when you are learning how to separate, two immiscible liquids, or when you are building a model of the sun, and comparing its size to the Earth, when you are building a robot, it gives you this sense that, you can actually take the knowledge that you are learning in class, and you can actually use it to change things in your environment. And that is such a powerful feeling. And so we are really excited to be bringing this feeling to students all across the country and all across the world, as a matter of fact. And so the science set has been an amazing journey. We really hope that in the not too distant future, in every classroom in the country, in every classroom across the continent, besides every science textbook, there will be a science set that students are using to perform practical science experiments. I believe that the concept of the bold new normal is perfect. I think it's probably the most perfect combination of words we can have now, because in order to cause the kind of change that we want, we need to be bold. We need to be innovative, and that's new. We need to try new things, and above all, that idea has to be normalized. And so I'm really excited to be part of this project in any way. I'm really excited to be a part of it, and I'm strongly for the idea that young people, if we embrace the concept and be bold about our actions and be very innovative in the way we think and in the way that we approach the kind of change we want to cause, and understand that it is normal. It's no longer even extraordinary for you to want to, as an individual, change the world. It's normal, and so if as young people we embrace this concept, I think it's a really important step, towards this grand vision we all have to create a paradise for our country and for our continent.